Guys, when talking about really large data storage, I mean 20, 30, 40, even 50 terabytes of data at once, those small external SSDs are not going to cut it. And don't even dream about storing all of this data in your laptop because the SSD sizes are not up there at this moment. So what you need is some kind of proper heavy duty solution. Guys, this is the Pibox dual drive RAID external enclosure. This thing supports a lot of unique features, like you can install 2 hard drives at once. You can configure this thing in various RAID modes. And in this detailed video, guys, we are going to run full suite of benchmarks. We're going to discuss all kinds of pros and cons. So guys, make sure to watch this entire video without skipping. Let's start with point number 1, that is unboxing and design overview. And the packaging overall felt very basic. I mean, Amazon these days does not even use a box for sensitive items like this. I think they should have. Well, let's come to the package content. So what we get is a mobile stand with a lovely message. You get a USB Type-C to Type-A cable. There's a screwdriver, a user manual and warranty card. There is also an adapter if you want to use it for Type-C to Type-C cases. And this thing also supports mobile OTG. What? Well, did you just say mobile OTG? Does this thick heavy duty hard drive work with your mobile phones, tablets or TVs? Guys, don't worry. Just keep watching. We're going to test all of it in today's video. Next, what we get is a power supply. That's a simple 12 volt adapter. You get a lot of mounting screws. Then you get more screws. You also get a foam pad. And finally, the enclosure itself. And guys, this thing really feels premium. I mean, in-hand feel is very good. The whole casing is made out of metal and it feels very nice to hold in your hand. Yes, the inner body is plastic, but I think that the overall build quality is very, very decent. Let's discuss the specs. And this thing is a 2-bay external enclosure that supports both 3.5 inch, that is your desktop hard drives, and 2.5 inch hard drives or SSDs that are generally suited for laptops. The total capacity can go as high as 56 terabytes, that is in the form of two 28 terabyte hard drives. This uses the famous Realtek 9201DP chipset. And this thing is generally known as a DAS. You know what is a DAS? It's a direct attached storage. I hear a lot of YouTubers calling this as a NAS. Technically, this is not a NAS because it does not have any kind of networking equipment like Ethernet port or Wi-Fi modems inbuilt. But yes, there's a neat little trick. If your Wi-Fi router has a USB port, you can connect this thing to your Wi-Fi router and sort of make it like a NAS and share your files all over the network. Well, let's come to the next part, that is installation. And the whole process is pretty simple because screws and screwdrivers are supplied along with. What I did is I deliberately installed Seagate 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte desktop hard drives. I mean dissimilar drives so that we can run some really thorough testing on this. Generally, for a RAID environment, it is highly recommended that you go with similar drives. And when you install new drives in this enclosure, they may need to be initialized and formatted. And here is generally how my setup looks. So this is the size comparison. The laptop that you see here, it is my 15-inch HP silver. And here is how the setup is going to look, how the finish is going to look. And I think it's overall pretty decent. Let's move to the most important part of today's video that you guys have been desperately waiting for, that is benchmarks and smart data. The first thing is that when I connected this DAS enclosure to my laptop, it was able to read all the smart data accurately. I mean, the temperature worked, the UASP support worked. I knew that one of my older hard drive had a smart caution warning and this casing picked it up. So at least I can say that whatever smart data that this casing is reporting is genuine and nothing is being faked over here. And I'm really happy that it's going to take care of the health and monitoring of your hard drives. Now, it's time for some benchmarks. And I used a variety of softwares like Crystal Diskmark, Upto Diskmark, and all of them are right on your screen for your viewing pleasure. Guys, these speeds may vary as per the hard drive, so your scores might be a little higher or lower. And I will highly recommend that you watch this particular video in full HD, that is 1080p quality, so you will be able to read all of these screenshots and the text clearly. Next, what I did is I started copying files from one drive of the enclosure to the second. I mean internal file copy from one drive to the other bay. And the speeds were around 115 bps, which in itself is very impressive. Let's talk about the advanced features of this DAS enclosure, that is the RAID modes. And we'll start with RAID 0. Now what you have to do is you have to disconnect the casing, open the enclosure, change the dip switch. Again, a small user manual is provided. Then you connect it to PC, power it on, and then there's this nifty little switch that you need to press for 3 seconds. And here, guys, all of your data is gone. Because whenever you reconfigure the RAID modes in this enclosure, or particularly any enclosure, your hard drives are practically formatted and reconfigured. So if you have any important data on your hard drives, before putting them into any kind of RAID mode, make sure to run some decent backups. And yes, it's not mentioned anywhere that what you need to do is you need to install the hard drives, turn it on, connect it to a computer, and then press this particular reset switch. I mean, Pibox can work a bit better on their documentation part, but here is how it generally works. So next, the disk is visible in the disk management application, then we need to initialize, and then it's ready for use. Now, there's a small little perk here that goes with RAID 0, or particularly a lot of RAID configurations, that the smallest drive size matters. And since we had an odd number of drive sizes, like we had 1 terabyte and 2 terabyte, in RAID 0 you will not get 1 plus 2 equal to 3. No, the math works from the smallest hard drive. So what we get is 1, because that is the smallest one. You will get 1 plus 1 equal to 2 terabyte. But yes, if you have even number of hard drives, like if you have like a 2 terabyte and a 2 terabyte, you will get 4 terabyte. If you have 8 and 8, then you get 16. But if you have something odd, like if you have like 1 4 terabyte and 1 12, you will just get 4 and then 4. That 12 will be reduced to 4. So keep this in mind. Always use similar hard drives. In fact, I'll recommend that you use the same model numbers whenever you're trying to use them in a RAID setup. And guys, here comes the most exciting part, that is benchmarks. And oh my god, I mean guys, look at this, 400 Mbps from a spinning platter hard drive. This thing is starting to beat SATA SSDs. This really had me excited. And this is the power of RAID 0. But yes, make sure to have very vigilant backups, because when one of the hard drives in your RAID 0 array fails, you lose the entirety of data, because your data is being striped across both of these drives. So RAID 0 is all about speed but not safety. Next, what I did is I started copying some files from my laptop's internal SSD to this enclosure, and the file copy speeds were roughly like 260 to 280 MB per second. The read speed was roughly 200 Mbps. The CRC verification was okay, that is the cyclic redundancy check was okay. And yes, because these were pretty old hard drives, I think like they are like 10 years old now, so my scores were a little bit janky, plus they are dissimilar, so it's making these weird scores, but at least it's working reliably. That is what I wanted to check. If you have better or newer hard drives, you can have even better performance than what we saw here. There's one thing that I did not like about this particular enclosure, that the smart data is visible only for the particular 2 terabyte hard drive. The other hard drive that was currently working in the RAID 0 mode had just disappeared, or it was just invisible. I mean, it was working, the data was being written to it, as we see in the benchmarks, but we could not read the smart data, we could not read the temperature of it. Now, let's move to the next part, that is RAID 1. And RAID 1 is basically just the opposite of RAID 0. Here what we get is good safety, but the speed and performance is going to be normal. And the process, well, you already know what to do. Disconnect it again, change the dip switches, reset it, go to disk management, initialize the disk, make partitions, format it, and then you're good to go. And here are the benchmarks on speeds. These are generally the expected results. What you generally get with RAID 1 is the performance of a single hard drive, but the safety of 2. And there are certain expensive controllers, at least when reading, what they do is, even in RAID 1, they start reading from both hard drives at once. So at least their read performance is very good. But these kind of controllers are very expensive and very rare. And I did not see any kind of that performance with this particular enclosure. What we get is basic RAID 1 stuff. And this is the very same smart data problem. I mean, even just the single 2 terabyte hard drive was visible, the other thing was invisible. And I think this is a common problem with hardware RAID enclosures or hardware RAID setups. Now, it's time for an ASIC test. And to simulate this, what we did is we copied a lot of data on it. And then I physically just removed one hard drive to simulate a failure. So let's assume that one hard drive suddenly dried, or it just fried up, or it blew up, or whatever. And you have just one hard drive. What about your data? And thankfully, all the data looks intact. I was able to run MD5 checks I was able to check all the hashes, and for this I'm using advanced software like I'm using Terracopy, and it was able to verify that entire bit to bit data is fine. So the benefit, the safety of RAID 1 was thankfully working very well with this external RAID enclosure. Now to get out of RAID 1, again the process is same. If you want to convert it to a normal hard drive, you will have to reset the whole thing again, copy that data again because the data would be lost. So that's it. Now let's move to special features. The first special feature with this thing is SSD compatibility, and here I have installed a SATA SSD. This is WD green, 2 terabyte SATA. The review is available right here in the I button, and buying link for this product is available in the video description. Thankfully there are these silver colored screws that are provided to install the SSD, so you do not need any extra adapters to purchase. And here are the benchmarks, and these benchmarks are pretty similar to my Transcend or the other casings from the USB 3.0 spec. That is, I have from Transcend, I have Oraiko, I have Storite, and overall the results were pretty similar. So I think this is pretty okay and decent. And the best thing about this enclosure is that you can use any combination that you want. I mean, you can install 2 hard drives, HDD plus HDD. You can have 2 SSDs, SSD plus SSD, or you could go with a combination, that is HDD plus SSD. So you can have 1 hard drive, 1 solid state drive, and all the options are open for you. Let's move to the next special feature, that is mobile OTG use. And I get a lot of comments on my channel that, sir, can you use this kind of external hard drive and connect it to your Android mobile phone or tablet, or connect it to your smart TV? And the answer is yes, you can. Guys, because these kind of large enclosures use their own power supplies, it's not going to overload the battery of your mobile phone. That is the common problem when you try to use an external hard drive enclosure with your tablet or mobile phone. The internal battery is very weak and it cannot power these big hard drives. But in this case, since the power adapter is external, it's going to happily work. What we need to do is we need to use the supplied USB OTG adapter, connect the cable, turn on the drive, and there will be a small pop-up on your phone. Accept it, go to File Explorer. And in my case, both the drives were recognized, and both of these look same because I have copied the same amount of data to them, but they are physically separate drives, and you can keep separate data on these different drive letters. Thankfully, I was able to see the full 2 terabyte capacity. I was able to browse all the files, play videos, watch images. I mean, there was absolutely no lag, and the overall experience was very, very nice. Guys, if you have any kind of problem, I recommend that in this dual drive enclosure, you can just keep 1 hard drive, because a lot of budget mobile phones or slightly older smart TVs, what they do is they do not support dual drive letters. So if the software of your smart TV or mobile is getting confused with 2 hard drives, just keep 1 and it may solve your problem. But thankfully with this tablet, yes, this is the exact one that I'm using right now. It was able to pick up both drive letters at once, and I was able to access my data. So that's pretty good. Let's talk about stability and temperature, and I copied 400 GB of data at once, and the overall experience was stable. The temperatures hovered around like 40 to 44 degrees Celsius, which is acceptable. Once I had the casing open, and the temperature climbs up to 46 degrees Celsius. So the casing and the fan combination is at least doing something. And then I tried this with my Purple Pro, which is a 8 terabyte beast, and this hard drive is known for running hot. And the temperature went as high as 55 to 56 degrees Celsius. I mean, not good. Guys, for spinning platter hard drives, what I generally recommend long term with my experience, try to keep them happy below 50 degrees Celsius, and especially anything above 55 is generally not acceptable. There is heavy derating that is mentioned in the hard drive datasheet. If you go to WD website, they have mentioned that the lifespan, performance and everything is going to be reduced if it works above 50 or 55 degrees Celsius. I'll try putting a screenshot for you. So that thing was not good, and I felt that the fan that was provided was not adequate for larger hard drives, especially 8 terabyte and above, because these larger hard drives have like 9, 10, I think even 11 platters these days, and the cooling solution was not adequate because these drives run hot. There's one little quirk, that this particular aluminum casing, although this is metal, it does not work as a heat sink because there is no mechanism, there is no path to transfer the heat from your hard drive to the casing itself. And I can understand why that happens, because the sizes of hard drives are really not that standardized. So having any kind of mechanism or thermal interface to transfer that heat is a little difficult. It is pretty common with NVMe enclosures. I have reviewed one again. Video available in I button or in the video description. And what we have there with NVMe enclosure is a simple thermal pad that allows you to transfer the heat from your SSD to the casing, and then the whole casing works as a heat sink. Sadly, I did not see anything like that here, but I have a unique little idea in my mind. And what I was thinking is to order a really thick thermal pad and then stuff them in somewhere. If you want to see that kind of experiment, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, and do let me know in comment section if you have any other idea with respect to cooling of these large heavy duty hard drives. Now let's come to this particular part of the video that you guys have been eagerly waiting for all throughout this video, that is pros and cons. So what was good, what was bad? Let's cover the bad points first. What are the problems? What are the cons? First thing, the activity LEDs are right on the back, and generally they are hidden behind cables and you generally won't see them. So I would have liked if the activity LEDs were up front here, like there are in many other competitors. Second, type C to type C USB cable is missing. I mean, there is an adapter provided, but a lot of laptops these days have really tight spacing when it comes to USB-C ports. They are very close together and the adapter may not fit. But this is not a huge problem because you can buy separate type C to type C USB cable on the Pibox website or using the affiliate link in the description. Next, there's this major issue that I noticed regarding JBOD or JBOD, just a bunch of disks. And I feel that whatever definition or the grammar that is being used is a little confusing. Technically, what I was expecting when I booked this external casing, whenever we think about JBOD, we think about spanning. Those who are well versed with RAID arrays and RAID specifications, what JBOD generally does is it combines your hard drive. So like if you have like a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte, it's going to do 1 plus 2 equal to 3, and it's going to present a single drive letter to your My Computer. So if you have a really large backup, like 2.5 or 3 terabytes, you are going to be able to copy that whole file at once on both the hard drives. It's going to span them and then copy those files using a single drive letter. But here, the JBOD definition, in my view, should have been called as individual drives, because what it does when we set it in the JBOD mode, it's going to present two different drive letters. Generally, I don't see a problem with this, but if you have very large backups, then maybe you will have to split the file and then write it across two different hard drives. So that is one problem. I think that the definition of JBOD should be changed to individual drives. That is what I say. And a proper JBOD spanning, or as some people call it as large mode or big mode or spanning mode, should have been provided. Instead of that, what is provided is a clone mode, which is technically not really useful to me. I mean, if you have a computer shop and if you want to clone a lot of hard drives and upgrade them to SSDs or whatever, then the clone mode can be useful to you. But for me, I would have preferred having a proper spanning mode rather than a clone mode. Alright, next con, RAID 1 rebuild is missing. Guys, what happens generally when we talk about premium NAS enclosures or NAS servers, when one of the hard drives running in RAID 1 fails, the controller, what it does, it recognizes if you put a new hard drive in it, it will rebuild the whole array and it will bring it up to spec. But here there is no automatic rebuild option. You will have to do that manually. So that's one. There's one little perk that I find about, and at this point I can say that I have been nitpicking these cons because that is what I generally do, and that is what you guys generally love seeing, and that is with respect to power adapter. And this thing is very, very chunky. Generally, I do not have problems with chunky power adapters as long as they are good quality. But the thing is that it's very, very thick and it ends up blocking adjacent sockets. So if you have limited amount of sockets, this thing is going to like eat away the adjacent 1 or 2 sockets, and it's really thick. I would have preferred something a little bit more sleek, or what I would have preferred is having like a wire, a brick and a wire design. Like that is what it happens with your laptop adapters, right? You have a small plug that does not eat away the adjacent ports, then you have a wire, then you have a brick, then there's another wire that goes to your laptop. I think Pibox in the future can do something like this, so the adapter is not that chunky. Now let's come to the next part, that is the pros. What is good about this? Because I've been personally using this thing long term, and the first thing that I really like is solid build. There's absolutely no problem with the build quality. I really like the way it is built. Fan is again pretty silent, but you cannot control it. It just does its own thing. All screws and screwdrivers are included. Next, it reads proper smart data UASP support works. I deliberately installed one of the older hard drives that actually had certain bad sectors. I knew it had one, and this thing was able to catch it. I mean, the smart monitoring or the smart data is really accurate, and you can count on it to properly display the health of your hard drives. Next, it gets full benchmark speeds. I mean, I used an SSD to saturate it, and the benchmarks are as good as any single external hard drive casing. So it's not like if it has like 2 ports, the speed is going to be split in 2 or something. I did not notice anything like that. So even if it has like 2 hard drive supports, the speed is going to be full for both of them. That's really, really good. Next part, my favorite part, stability. Once I started copying overnight data, like 8 to 10 hours, and there was absolutely no problem, no disconnection, no file corruption, and the overnight data copy worked very well. It's very important for me. Next, M3 screws for 2.5-inch SSD are included. So if you want to install a small SSD in it, all the mounting hardware is right there. Very thoughtful of Pibox. And the next perk is really important to me, that is spin down on safe remove. Guys, whenever we go to that little corner in your Windows and you click on that safely remove device or safely eject device, whatever that is, I see that in a lot of budget casings, it does not shut down and spin down the hard drives. And a lot of the experienced users might be able to tell that what happens when you pull the power when the drive is spinning. The head slams and it's just carnage. It's not good for your hard drives. But with this particular casing, when I clicked safely remove drive, it actually shut down the hard drive. It was able to stop them spinning. I mean, the spin down worked, and then I was able to pull the power. This made me really happy. This is actually rare in external casings. I think until now only Transcend has it, and a few other brands have it. A lot of budget brands do not have spin down when you select safe remove. Very important perk. Now, let's come to the next part, that is pricing. We'll talk about service and then we'll conclude this video. Now, the pricing was roughly like 3,000 rupees on Amazon, which is like super cheap. I mean, the next competition is like 10k rupees. The very next one is like 10,000, 12,000 like that one. This thing they were able to provide for around 3,000 rupees, but the prices keep changing. So for the latest prices, I have provided links in the description. And guys, what I'll do is, apart from these casings, I'll also provide affiliate buying links for 3.5-inch hard drives, for 2.5-inch hard drives, or NVMe SSDs, or different laptop and desktop components. And all of these affiliate buying links will be available in the video description, in the first comment, or in the view product section right over here. Guys, if you love my work, if you want to support my channel, please consider using my affiliate section for your next purchase. Let's talk a bit about their service, and they are very easily approachable on WhatsApp. And I was talking to this friendly guy called Sri, and he helped me solve variety of problem. He was able to address variety of my questions and concerns, and he also patiently read my suggestions and feedback. I mean, all of these pros and cons that we are discussing right now, it has been already discussed with the company. That is how attentive they are. And hopefully with the next version, I think that we are going to see a lot of these cons just disappear. So I'm really happy that an Indian company is working at this level, providing budget-friendly technology for Indian people. I mean, good luck. It's pretty good. I mean, this video is not sponsored in any way, but I like the way that they are working, and I have absolutely no problem recommending this particular enclosure for your data storage and backup needs. And guys, when it comes to talking about backup hard drives or SSDs, I have reviewed variety of products. I have reviewed NVMe SSD enclosure again from Pibox. I have reviewed 5 terabyte thick backup hard drives, and all of those videos will pop up right here in the form of cards. Use your finger or mouse to click on these cards, jump to those videos, learn something new about data backup or IT industry in general. That's it for this little video, guys. I hope you liked this one. Take care and have a nice day. Yes, please keep your data safe, because in today's world, data is everything.